Well, James, what are some of the benefits of using rainfall on our landscapes?
Well, the most obvious one is that it's free. It's delivered to our site from the sky at no charge to us, and the water's clean and it doesn't have chemicals in it.
So essentially what you're saying is that it is cost effective and sustainable to capture, store, and use the natural capital that's already provided to us by nature.
Absolutely, because otherwise, we're having to bring water from hundreds of miles away from reservoirs, and that takes a lot of energy, and then that water in turn has to be treated with tons of chemicals, so a lot of inputs.
Sure. So what are some of the downfalls of not using rainfall?
Yeah, I mean, that's exactly it. It's so obvious that we should use rainfall, however we don't. Our properties are designed to shed rainfall as efficiently as possible without using it. And that has a lot of disadvantages. The obvious ones for us is that water gets away before we can use it. But as it gets away, it picks up all the crud. It picks up all the fertilizers we put on our yard, all the chemicals on our streets. So you get a lot of volume of clean water, and it flows across our landscapes and our city sites, and it picks up a bunch of pollution, and then it goes into our waterways. And it happens so fast that a lot of times we get significant flooding downstream. So we're taking a clean resource and we basically turn it into pollution and send it downstream for it to be somebody else's problem.
Absolutely. Now, what are some of the Oklahoma rainfall patterns that you have noticed?
Well, in Oklahoma, it doesn't rain often. However, when it does rain, it rains a lot. So again, we get that huge flow that can cause significant flooding. A lot of people think the solution to capturing rainwater is rain barrels, and it's just really not, because when it rains 1 or 2 inches in a rain event in Oklahoma, those rain barrels will fill up in the first 5 minutes of the storm, and then all the rest runs off. So, we got to find more creative ways to capture and store water.
Sure. So how can we better capture and store rainfall on our landscapes?
There's so many approaches, and it just depends on what your financial resources are and how your property's laid out. Some of them include tanks, but the most common strategy we use is a system of swells. And if you don't know what a swell is, make sure and check out our swell video on the site. But it's basically a very inexpensive way to capture and store water passively on our landscapes and store it in the ground where it can be used by our plants.